The quick historical rundown is that during the Cold War, the Soviets started to test all kinds of psychics, wonder healers and shamans to see if they could produce significant results in laboratories. The results were very promising and showed that some were able to do things that common sense could not explain. American spies discovered that the Russians were doing these kinds of tests, and the American military then started to do its own tests. The classified documents now show that these tests were also successful, and many psychics in the US were also able to perform extraordinary things with their minds alone. This showed many people in the agencies that the material worldview is not complete, and that there are a lot of things they did not understand yet. The fact that remote viewing exists and can be used efficiently was a military secret in the matter of state security. This is why, even to this day, it is classified as pseudoscience, despite countless extraordinary proofs of its existence. Now, back to the 4chan thread about the remote viewing lady. She seems to be a product of the Cold War era remote viewing programs. I can imagine that this program started when some high-ranked generals were briefed that remote viewing is real and effective. The generals then, with the safety of the country in mind, asked them to monitor any possible nuclear war event, or any other event that might cause the destruction of the United States. Because knowing when and how the Russians might attack would be critical in order to survive the Cold War. Also, the Soviets for sure had a similar program going, as they had a good head start in this area. The lady from the thread is most likely one of these people who were tasked to view a potential destruction of the US. As the stakes were very high and her skills were very rare, she was not asked to join a program, she was forced to. Her talent was discovered during one of the school talent testing competitions. According to her, the only goal of these programs was to find psychically talented people and recruit them. Her description fits perfectly to the many threads on 4chan where people are talking about a certain Quest program that was officially looking for gifted children in the 1980s to 1990s in the US. I read that similar programs were also used in China for the same purpose. Just listen to the very first words in the song Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Scary stuff, and big if true. One last word on remote viewing before we start. The future is a tough thing to predict, as free will is real, at least for most people, and is always mixing up the future timelines. Other psychics have said that viewing the future can be compared to walking to a supermarket of potential future timelines that is. The viewer will most likely only focus on those products on the shelves, this here being timelines, that he finds most interesting, and not necessarily on those that are most likely. So please take all of the predictions in her thread with a grain of salt. Now, let's begin. I am a USMILINT remote viewer. Ask me anything. Revenge threat for them blocking my career to use me and my life as a temporal telescope. Daughter of a former FBI and CIA agent. Atlanta, Georgia, field office for both. I have goodies to share. I can't dox myself, nor can I tell everything, because I don't know everything. But you had better bet I'm going to reveal everything I do know. There are more of us. Perhaps my defection will inspire others. If this compromised board does its usual, look for me on X. Enough is fucking enough. Tell us about the upcoming tribunals. Go. All I know about the possible tribunals is there are multiple timelines, all competing at the same level to become the dominant, reported, accepted timeline where Western politics is concerned. This is a search of fluid temporal situations, all colliding with one another, with concerns, efforts and people behind them each battling to make theirs the winning one. I'm not one of the tribunal remote viewers. I am one of the possible nuclear war that affects North America and England / Central America unrest viewers. What I can share is limited by my own ignorance because of this. I see this. There are at least 2 competing timelines related to the tribunals. I saw one as a middle schooler. If I reveal anything about the school or specific events, I will dox myself, because my program Quest indoctrination was active at that time. I'm kind of giddily wondering if any other Quest students might spot this thread and chime in. It'd be an interesting ride for all of you. Tribunal Timeline 1, the most likely timeline. Hillary Clinton and accomplices
fingered but never indicted for multiple crimes that stagger the imagination. Things continued as usual. The US falls completely under cabal control, and anyone who knows or can see related to these events will be snatched in the night roughly 2019 to 2025 and disappeared. Progressive totalitarianism continues when the progressives are backstabbed totally out of the blue, when the curtain drops and the movers and shakers behind all of this emerge safely into full view and put all their blue check marks to death as useful idiots. This era leads to what Orwell saw in 1984 and Animal Farm, then a surprise liberation after a lifetime from China, Russia and North Korea, with some assistance from Pakistan and India who may unite. Yeah, that threw me off too. Seems unlikely as fuck from here in 2018. Even so. Tribunal timeline 2. Aggressive, actively interfering timeline, and next post. Hillary Rodney Clinton and all accomplices indignant. The signal flare for this timeline succeeding is an unexpected shakeup at the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. The FCC. I am not sure why. When a shakeup happens, which may include someone high up there being arrested and indicted for something, all the pedophilia and cabal shit gets targeted, but the Department of Justice, DOJ, does it a different way. Nobody is in prison for pedophilia or being in a cabal, but rather sedition and conspiracy against the Republic, hence the tribunals. Mainstream media is going to fall just before this. Famous name news readers will be sentenced and sent to gulags. I saw a wintry, cold place where this is. They aren't executed, but put there and cannot leave. Trump does not appear to be president during this timeline. It's unclear who is. That's all I have regarding tribunals. And Anon asks, what do you know about the targeted individual program? Answer, nothing, I wish I did, because I think I'm in it. Another Anon asks, how about you just do your spiel as a data dump and we decide whether or not you are LARP? Answer, working on precisely that. Then many curious Anons started to ask personal questions. I will only read aloud the most interesting ones. Question from Anon. Remote view my gay stalkers, please. Answer. This is terrifying. Transgender people aged 15 to 30 with some handlers or parents involved. Some with black skin, other with some sort of white or light Latino skin. One is extremely malevolent and seems both male and female, but looks male and is fucking fat and ugly and middle-aged. Anon, how did you get involved with bullshit like these people? Run away, now! And Anon says, you did not have to mention that you were female. The only reason in doing so is to use your pussy pass. So, tits or get the fuck off. Also, what am I wearing? Response. The only reason? Fuck off. I did it so they know which CIA kid they pissed off. It's not always all about your dick, moron. Another Anon asks, let me guess, you saw the Earth getting blown up in the future, but you can tell us when or why it happened. Answer. I certainly see the US being blown up in the future, and yes, I can tell you when and why. You won't like this information though, nobody does. Another Anon states, interesting thread, has the ring of truth, OP. I, of course, have 1,000 questions I'd like to ask you, but I keep it to just one. Were you or any of the others ever used to spy on Elon Musk? Answer. How weird. This was offered to me recently and I declined because his news profile became scary and weird. Another Anon asked, is there any way at all you can prove what you are claiming? If you drop some knowledge without any sort of proof, I'll take it with a grain of salt. She answers, yes. Observe Nicaragua before the New Year's Day 2019. Unrest there will explode into new migrant situation at the US-Mexico border. It will drop the Honduran one. In regards to the positive timeline 2 where Hillary Clinton is indicted, an Anon asks, what can we do to implement or hasten the coming of this timeline? Is it dependent on how much public support Trump has, or how much people dislike the cabal or mainstream media? She answers, the answer to this makes me cry. There's literally nothing any of us can do to prevent or accelerate this. We are all controlled. You have no idea to what extent. The best advice, huddle in your loved ones and make your world very small and your social media world non-existent. Things are about to become worse than even this board has imagined. Another Anon says, "Nope, you're a man. Show proof or otherwise, liar." To which she responds, "Nice try. There's porn for that. Political questions, please. You won't be thinking much about tits or vegane when the sirens start. Please, male gender, can you please fucking focus?" Ah, well, dissipation of a threat. Too many shills. Good luck, gentlemen. After reading those words of her and having read all above, I decided that she's legit and it's time for me to join the thread and encourage her to stay. I wrote to her, "Ignore the shills. They're here to distract you and you know it. Rise above it. If you came here to encourage others, then just answer the good questions." Smiley face. An Anon asked, "Atlanta, Georgia. It seems to me that Georgia attracts a lot of unusual attention. Is there anything special we need to know here? Also, teach us your remote viewing ways so we may watch the world burn remotely from the comfiness of home." Then she replied as to the teaching part, "You won't be able to do this. If they find out you're good at it, your whole life will be derailed." As to your first question about Georgia, I've often wondered that too. The guidestones are definitely there, in Elbertron, but I don't think there are any real danger. The beliefs carved into them hold far more danger when pointed from DC. Another Anon asked, "Please post location and time of serious event, please." To which she replied, "Which one?" "The US events keeping shifting forward and back because of Trump. And no, he does not own a time machine. And his allies. But the main one is a complete economic collapse due late 2019. Real estate, Silicon Valley and Hollywood will all collapse. Every movie being made right now is made of floating money that doesn't even exist because the real film producers left when the pedo cabal marched in. Nobody there knows how to actually make a real movie. It's all propaganda, injected in existing brand names. Nobody likes this. So, it's all floating on fake money tied back to Israel, and when it falls apart, a lot more things are going to fall apart." Another Anon raises a point. Now it just seems like another demoralization thread. Don't do anything, stupid goyim. Go out in the woods and let Master handle everything. How do you know you are not being controlled to the point where you are just being seen bullshit images just to fuck with you and everything else? She responds, "Well, feel free to revolt. But I'm warning you, it won't be as easy as you think or this board leads you to. You need to be aware evil exists and what evil is. What you are fighting is not governments exactly, but more like evil." Then I jumped in and raised a question. Can you give us insights in the magnitude of the remote viewing operations that are being run? Who has access to remote viewers? As in, can a simple millionaire get some, or does one need to be part of the club to be able to task you guys? To what she responded, "I have no idea, Anon. I didn't even know what was happening to me until I spoke to the other people this had happened to. Most of us were born in the 1960s to the 1975 range. That's all I know." Then an Anon asked relating to the US being blown up event in the future. When? Why? How much overlap is there between you and the QAnon primary offers? To which she responds, "No idea, but look for a singular ugly event with 3 prongs happening shortly, no later than summer of 2024. Another Anon asks regarding to the event shifting forwards and backwards because of Trump. "I can see the future. It's not set in stone, bro, as it can be easily be manipulated." She answers, "So I guess you can see what's on the TV screen if a kid comes and switches the channels on it in front of you. Good to know." Another Anon asks, "Hello mate, can you please remote view when disclosure will happen, which will bring at least some salvation to us wage slaves? Any game-changing technologies used in secret space programs or in organizations such as Kruger, Monarch or ACEO to be released anytime soon?" To which she replies, "Second question regarding the salvation to us wage slaves? No. First question regarding the disclosure is after the event. The big event coming soon. The big event is immediately preceded by submarines in the Pacific and the single scariest night this world has ever known. You'll know when and what it is. I don't have to tell you. You'll know for sure. Another Anon asks, who is Q? To which she replies, I have no contact with whatever that is, but my feeling is that it's several people, about 5 to 10, and their claim of the Oval Office access is true. Their accuracy changes from time to time though, because the Mandela effect is real. Scary, but real. Another Anon asks, what do you know about this place? Referring to a picture attached that is called the Novo-Terran flag. She answers, a good idea, but it will be harder to institute than thought. It will happen though. Then I again asked, so do you work alone? Or do you have remote viewer colleagues? So what you are telling is that you have no idea how many there are? But you were speaking about other groups. To which he replies, I am worked alone, unless these peoples I see in the night work are actual people, which is scary to me. I have no idea how many of us there are, but the Russians were doing this before we were. That's why we started. My guess would be there's a few hundred or thousand of us. I bet almost all were found in gifted programs. Those programs serve no other purpose I can think of, and all the former teachers are dead. Then another Anon asked, what about Assange? What is he doing? She responded, careful, he is part of it. Then I asked another question. Are you tasked to review the same thing over and over again, or do they also give you diverse targets? To which she replied, the same fucking thing exhaustively over and over again. My assignment seems to be different scenarios used to help the US survive a limited nuclear exchange, and what will occur under each scenario. I was surprised by the Nicaragua/Equine thing last night. That was a different storyline finally, and out of the blue. Another Anon asks, does the timeline shift of a Mandela effect feel like having your spirit tucked away from your head and slightly disoriented? She replies, not for me. I noticed tarot cards no longer worked and couldn't predict future timelines accurately. That and a general strong sense of helplessness, despair, and why bother? Other than that, just the usual stuff everyone else reports, book titles and news events being just ever so slightly different. An Anon asks regarding the scariest night of the world has ever known. Which specific event are you talking about? Is that a massive solar flare event? To which he replied, nuclear. Another Anon was asking, OP, I'm holding a car key in my hand. What manufacturer is the car? If you're right, I'll even timestamp that shit. To which she responded, can't tell, but there's a star. And here's the response from the same Anon, showing the picture of his Mercedes car key. Okay, I'm officially a little spooked here, people. Another Anon says, Maduro will die and the far-right dictator from outside of Venezuela will overthrow PSUV. MILINT liaison. Deny confirm my prediction, please. To which he replies, part of this is right, but I more see an outside force marching into Central and South America to bring order. Not pleasant. An Anon remarks, I let you in on a little secret. Remote viewing is totally real. There are declassified documents you can look up and prove it. However, you can't just do it on the fly like OPs is claiming. You have to put yourself in very deep trance. It takes a lot of training just to be able to achieve the proper state of mind. To which he replies, correct, you can't just do it on the fly like OP is claiming. They prefer you to be asleep. Then I asked her again, if you have the time, can you please take a quick look at the famine virus? Is it real? To which she responds, yes, it's real, but it's more psychological than somatic. Birth control pills have a lot to do with it. Another Anon asks if the outside force marching into Central and South America to bring order will be American or Novo-Terran. To which she replies, neither. My guess is United Nations. Then I asked her if there's anything she wants the world or Anons to know, because I am planning to make a video about this thread. As you are listening right now, I did it finally. To which she replies, yes. None of this was your or your people's fault. Another Anon asks regarding the US being blown up in the future. Why does it happen? What did you mean by the three-pronged event exactly? To which she replies, three-pronged event. 3 atomic explosions on American soil, west, north and south. I can't figure out why I see only 3. They will be sufficient. They will knock us back in technology to Kennedy age. This will create a lot of good things, culturally, but many, so many, will die both during and afterwards. Our population will crash. Why does it happen? Things get out of control in the closest I can get to it. Misunderstandings and miscommunication after a long, long siege from the left. The right becomes angry and overreacts, and then whoever is in the White House completes the overreaction. There seems to be no other way to respond through the provocations shown. An Anon states regarding the whole tits or BTFO situation, I bet you didn't see it coming though. To which she replies, it doesn't take remote viewing to expect Paul to demand to show your tits or pussy. I risked it, I deserve it. But my daughter reveal was to give the middle finger to the non-Paul people, who reviewed this site and let them know, yeah, me, assholes. They know who it is. An Anon asks, can/is humanity worth saving? To which she replies, not at these population numbers, no. Another Anon asks, what is in Antarctica? She replies, this is fascinating. I do see a base there. Nobody is going to be allowed there. This is where a certain group of people expect to live after the big event. Bet you can guess whom they are. Another Anon asks, what will happen to Mexico during AMLO's presidency? Will a far-right young leader, as a consequence, emerge and take power? She replies, yes. I can see the name, but I see his face. One will. Many Americans will become his refugees. An Anon asks, what did your training entail? Give us an exercise. To which she replies, you notice weird patterns in events. You go to places and recognize you've seen them before in dreams. The spookiest thing, living sensation there is. And I'm not joking, it's just a fucked up sensation. Then you go to sleep innocently expecting a surreal overview of the day's events and instead receive consistent, linear dreams depicting very realistic, non-dreamlike scenarios where you see millions of Americans die. Jolly good fun. Traumatizing as fuck and nothing stops it. Nothing. An Anon asks, who's actually responsible for the explosions? Is it another Mossad operation, palmed off on Iran this time? To which she replies, if you really want to know, Russia. Another Anon jumps in and says, coming from someone with extrasensory perception, ESP, you're full of shit. Nobody cares about the attention that actually experiences it. You learn quickly that's a good way to get ostracized and likely never speak to another human being about it, especially if you've been cleared by the fucking DOD, Department of Defense. Kiss. To which he replies, get ostracized? Consider that perhaps I'm finally pissed and no longer care. Another Anon asks, what's the safest place to be in America? To which she replies, west of Atlanta, east of Texas state line. Extreme southwest Texas. Nowhere near Denver, Albuquerque, Los Angeles, San Diego, Santa Barbara, Atlanta/Marietta, most of Florida, New York City, Eastern Seaboard, Wyoming or the Dakotas. Check out any nuclear target map. You will notice a SAC or AFB is very close to almost every middle or large market population city. You are hostages, and so am I. We are human body shields. Another Anon asks about the face of the upcoming Mexican political leader. She answers, I don't recognize Mexican political party names, but the flag has a black or dark stylized eagle on it. And he is what the girls might term handsome. Dark hair, dark eyes, non-Indio. I'd clock him at about age 30. Regarding the dreams of nuclear holocaust, an Anon asks, holy shit, exactly how have you not committed suicide yet? To which he replies, steady prayer. I again ask her a short question, Earth, flat or globe, or is it complicated? To which he replies, you're not going to like this answer, but it's round. Another Anon wants to know her opinion on the Paul prophecy, to which she replies, 4 is definitely correct and corresponds. The rest I don't know. The 4th prophecy is, they are trying to force God's hand. Another Anon says, my wife astral projects at night, has talked to Assange, says he is a human antenna, and that's how he got his information. Have you any experience with Assange? To which she replies, no. Another anon states, daughter of former FBI and CIA agent, Atlanta, Georgia field office for both. This alone is enough to dox you for the glow diggers, which is what you should be worried about. Confirmed LARP. To which she replies, no longer worried. When you take away everything else a person has, they no longer care what you can do to them. They read everything here and they know who this is. And I'm making it obvious and I don't care. Another anon says, OP, how does this hypothetical attack knock American technology back to the Kennedy era exactly? To what she answers, unclear, but I see women dressing a lot more conservatively. There's no digital technology, there's fewer people, and everybody looks very sad. Another anon wants to know, is it limited to blasted area or the whole country? To which she replies, whole country. Canada and south of border, no internet, no digital. They try to re-up them, but it won't work. Finally, the new analog will be the next thing. We don't know what it is yet. It's definitely analog, but behaves a bit like limited digital. Government knows what it is. Then another anon jumps in and talks about his experiences. I know what you're talking about. I've seen a few newscasts from years out. I think it's kinda like how watching the JFK assassination or 9/11 leaves a scar upon the mind, affecting even many years later. What if the same happened in reverse? What if you could feel a major event coming a ways off because future yous feel so deeply about it? There are two I see most often. One is of reports of massive tidal waves hitting the northeast United States. Everything from Boston to Philadelphia absolutely wrecked. They were speculating if it was an attack by a foreign power or not. They were blaming China. The second is of myself in a sports arena and an emergency broadcast comes on the screens. A man declares an end to the United States, the dollar has no value, and all property lines have been dissolved. A riot ensures and I'm pretty sure I die almost immediately after. I can seemingly as clear as day. To which the remote viewer replies, massive tidal wave. Yeah, this will definitely be used against Europe, which is why I learned under no circumstances move to the EU. A British anon asks, what do you see in store for my country? Thanks in advance. To which she replies, get out of there, now. Find a Canadian girl, an Australian girl, an American girl, but do it. Get out of Britain now. Another anon asks, why is the CIA currently arming tribal leaders? One of which is a fat fuck that wears colorful tribal clothes like a moo with mortars in Africa. Saw this the other day. Fat fucker and similar dressed Slim were riding in a van of all things. Both had short-barreled AKs. Thought it was weird. To which she replied, here's the reply that will get me in trouble. Because they always do. It's what they do. Then I helped her by starting a new thread and posting it here, because I saw that she's not as experienced in using 4chan. In the second thread somebody asked, which Bitcoin version will win and what will be its price at the end of 2019, / during the wars / after the wars. Remote view ticker as well please. To which she answered, Bitcoin is targeted by the FBI and the SEC and will not survive. Pull out now. Another anon asks, what is going to happen to the US dollar? To which he replies, it's going to plunge and near collapse, but hold strong due certain third world countries depending on and hanging on it tight to it. Another anon asks, is there such a thing as a human soul? Can you talk with the dead? To which he replies, yes and yes. They are not dead. There's no such thing as death. People who pass on walk out of this life room into another, parallel room that perfectly overlays this one like a transparent plastic sheet. Your dead relatives and loved ones can hear and see you and see and hear every single thing you're doing. Another anon asks, when roughly is the version of the nuclear event you saw supposed to occur? To which she replies, nuclear events' exact date keeps shifting because of the fluid timelines being battled back and forth in said prior thread, but no later than 2026. Also related to the nuclear event, another anon asks, if this were to occur, is the moment that happens fluid or a fixed event? Maybe not the right lingo, but how far away is this shit? To which we replied, fluid. Imagine an abacus bat that keeps being slided back and forth along 1-foot cord tied on both ends, and that end's left is 2019 and end's right is 2026. The bat keeps being pushed one way, then the other. Regarding the dead people being in a parallel dimension thing, an anon asks, "Oh god, do they watch me fap too?" To which he replies, "Sadly yes, hehe. They see it all." An anon asks, "Can you tell me what you found out about God?" To which he replies, "He is lovable and has a sense of humor. He is not at all what the Abrahamic books present. He is genuinely a wonderful being and he loves us." Another anon asks, "Does God exist and which religion is the most true?" To which he replies, "God does exist, and the best explanation I've seen on WTF is going on is this one." She shows the book Journey of Souls, Case Studies of Life Between Lives by Michael Newton, PhD, from the year 1994, available on Amazon. Another anon asks, showing the picture of this place from Google Maps, "What is here?" To which he replies, "The immediate answer was a secret base. I have no idea what that means." Another anon asks, "Please tell us about aliens. Are they good or evil? When is disclosure?" To which he replies, "I wish I knew about this. My gut feeling is aliens do not exist. I wish they did and hope they do. I know nothing about them and can't get a read on them." Another anon asks 4 questions. "Will white people be reduced significantly?" She replies, "No, we will increase." Next question. "Secret space program fully disclosure when?" "Never." "Will 4chan user here be hunted down after all?" "Yes." "Tell us more about China, since it will certainly implode after all." To which he replies, "China only wants money and success. Mix that into and you will get your answer. China also wants Russia and its northern territories." Another anon asks, "What do you know about pig-related?" Showing the famous Economist 1988 cover showing the phoenix as a new currency of the year 2018 with the title "Get ready for a world currency." Bitcoin? Question mark? A new cryptocurrency? Do you see a 7 or Z? To which he replies, "Very aggressively planned, but there's not enough time. Current currencies are the ones that will exist when the event happens." Then she answers my question with his "Secret space program, is that a thing? Pig related?" And she says, "Yes, but I have no info about it. And I don't think the full story will ever be released. I'm useless there, sorry." An anon asks, "Thank you for answering. Do you make money off being a remote viewer, or do you have a job that has nothing to do with it?" To which he replies, "Job with nothing to do with it, but they won't allow me to advance or can focus entirely on it, or afford things that can cut them off, aka hypnotherapy, etc. I would love that. I'd never ask for this and I resent it interfering." An anon asks, "Show us your training manual for remote viewing." To which he replies, "They give none. I am at least have never been given one." Another anon asks, "Also, is Europe fucked in the future, you see?" Which he replies, "Very fucked. I wish I could see a way out for all you guys." Another anon asks, "Who was John Titor? Was he just a LARPer?" Which he replies, "This really interests me. I think the guy was real. He saw a lot of things that overlap with stuff I and others have seen. I just wish he hadn't signed off and left us all here like that. But finishing this thread I can see why. It's exhausting stuff, hehe. But my personal take is Titor was real and was one person." Then I asked her if she had any other words of wisdom she would like to share with us all. She replied, "No, just don't accept what you are being told. White people were not the cause of any of this happening. Drop all guilt." Then another anon asks, "Does the mutual assured destruction work as intended? Which Russian cities get blasted into atmosphere regarding the nuclear scenario?" To which she answers, "A city with a V at the start of it came to mind immediately. Moscow will survive, but badly damaged. There's a third one with an O that not many people know about, and it looks like we hit that to damage infrastructure or supply routes or something. The whole thing is very limited, but it still will be terrible. Remember that this is just what I am being allowed to see and that actual future may be different. Another anon asks 3 questions. What about Poland? To which he replies, rough. What about the UK? To which he replies, bad. What about the Balkans? To which he replies, bad. Then another anon asks, one final question on Novoterra. Does it last for 1,000 years? Is it a top autocracy superpower? To which he replies, no and no. Then a very persistent anon asked, is there something under the Sphinx? If you can see the past, can you tell us about how it was built? Was it made by the Atlanteans? What is the purpose of these pyramids? Thank you in advance, anon. To which he replied, I am not sure on the answer of all of these questions, but they are interesting items under one of the paws and part of the front torso of the Sphinx. No, not Atlanteans. Human built these structures, at least as far as I can sense. An anon asks, so if I created Novoterra and I will not lead, who will? Do I have tarnished reputation or do I die before everything happens? Do I rule from behind the scenes? To which he replied, you attract a more ruthless leader, if that makes any sense. You will recognize he is willing to take steps and do things you in your heart cannot. An anon asks, will the Yellow Vest protest go down in history as a galvanizing moment? Will they carry it into the United States? To which he replies, it will carry into the States and around the world, but it has powerful enemies who wish to divide and suppress it, and they will succeed. The real protest wears no collar or vests. Another anon asks, thoughts about Canada? To which he replies, you will be well ahead of us less than 10 years from now, but it isn't good news. A lot of violence and upheaval sit between here and that. Another anon asks, does Russia survive mutually assured destruction? If they fire one nuke, we fire all of ours. She replies, they fire limited nukes, we fire limited nukes. The engagement shows up as limited in every single assignment and has since the 90s.
And that's all. I would like to mention that the amount of shills and weird spammers increased greatly after a few hours. Most likely the agencies were alarmed and warned to disrupt her threat. Also, some of the spammers were repeating some quite precise phrases. From my point of view, those were most likely some very specific MKUltra key phrases to deactivate her. I am also quite convinced that she was the real deal, because she tried to answer way too many questions from people about personal things. Like a real mother would. A shill would only have focused on bringing forward his agenda and not engage that much with the audience. Her threat was an indicator that the conspiracy theories of whole underground bases filled with remote viewers might be real. Also, I heard that every country, even the smallest ones like Luxembourg, all have their own remote viewers. Some simply helping the police to interrupt drug smuggling operations or find missing people. Mr. Putin is known to be very superstitious and for sure knows about all these things. There are also known Russian psychics who on TV stated that they have prevented great leaders from boarding planes that have crashed afterwards, thus saving the lives of those leaders. As for the supernatural and government, Mussolini was known to listen to his famous and powerful witches that were feared by all of his staff. And as for the Third Reich, there are many rumors of supernatural contacts and occult secret societies. Some rumors even going so far as to state that there was a split in the Nazi elite between those who knew and those who did not, stating that the occult part of the Nazis escaped long before the war ended, taking lots of critical resources and knowledge with them. Luckily, today we live in the most interesting of times. Many books, series, documentaries and even training courses are available for those who are interested in remote viewing. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share and subscribe, as videos like these take way too much time to produce. And as always, find your life's path and take action. Redpill out.